Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take the opportunity to introduce you to a very, very special guest that we have amongst us today. But to do that, let me please call to the stage Mr. Tariq Qureshi, the CEO of Vantage Holdings, and who is also the media representative and advisor for Bloomberg TV and multimedia in the Middle East. Mr. Tariq Qureshi, if you could please make your way to the stage.
Illusion. Good morning, good morning. Another illusion here.
Where is he?
It is quite interesting to talk today about unleashing your genius, because that is what we're about to do. You saw two wonderful young men unleashing their genius. Today I will introduce you to 6 people who are in this audience, around here. One of these people is a very successful global business person. A second person is an author who has written 140 books. There's a third person here also, and this third person is a poet, a world-acclaimed poet. There's a fourth person here, and this person has been an advisor to governments, to presidents, to prime ministers, all over the world. And there's a fifth person, and that fifth person has amazing achievements, including being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for Education twice. And finally, this person is also an amazing philanthropist who goes all over the world, and he's doing wonderful things for children. So there are these 6 people in and around the audience, and magically what has happened is all of these 6 people, as an illusion that you just saw, have all just come together as one. And all of these 6 people have just been merged into this single body. And that body, ladies and gentlemen, is the famous Professor Tony Buzan. Could you please welcome Professor?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to spend a truncated time together. We'll try to make it compact, and as you are involved in developing your own intelligences and obviously your small and growing businesses, we'll find out who you are, and we'll give some information on how to truly unleash the potential that you have. So first of all, a few questions so you can find out who you are and who everybody else is, and the environment in which you find yourself at the beginning of a company career. So first of all, how many of you here are daydreamers? How many of you daydream? Okay, so 60% of you. How many of you daydream every day? Okay. How many of you enjoy your daydreaming? It's interesting that you're not daydreaming, but you enjoy your daydreams. And how many of you have had a daydream in the very short time that I've been together with you? 4 of you. And I gather around 220 people here, so there are 218 liars. Because daydreaming is part of the human psyche, the brain, the mind. How many of you have children? Okay. Daydreaming in school is considered good or bad? Okay, so there's a great debate already going on, isn't there? And in most schools, both here and around the world, daydreaming is considered bad, a not good thing to do. How many, when you have had your report cards, when you were a child, have had comments on the report cards saying things like, this child must pay attention, or this young girl always has her mind in the clouds. This little boy cannot concentrate on what the teacher says and must listen to the teacher. How many of you had things like that? Most of you. So we're in trouble. How many of you mind map? Okay. How many of you have never done a mind map? Okay. How many of you have done a mind map by hand? Okay. How many of you have done it by software? Okay. How many of you are teachers? How many of you are not teachers? Okay. How many of you are artists? 4 of you. How many of you are not artists? Okay. How many of you are scientists? 1. How many of you are not scientists? Okay, so 99.9% of you. How many of you are poets? 3. How many of you are not poets? Okay. So you just imagine the world that you are now developing the income, the wealth of a nation or a country. The percentage of SMEs here, for example, are the generators of about 70 to 85% of the GNP. That's your future. And your children are going to be in it. So how wonderful to have a nation led by 220 people like you, no scientists, no poets, and no artists. Would you like to be in a world run by people like that? Would your genius, would your intelligence, would your innovation, would your smartness, would that develop under the umbrella of non-scientists, non-poets, non-artists? So start to think about it, because the future is in your hands. And I would very much hope that you don't drop the ball. How many of you like colors? Okay. How many of you love colors? Okay. How many of you are creative? A number of you, good. How many of you are not creative? Okay, that's the nicest piece of information we've had so far. But dominantly you are, in your own minds, creative. So we will investigate that. So I want you now to imagine what is going to happen in your future. As a leader, which you are, in growing entrepreneur babies, you will speak. How many of you publicly speak? Okay. How many of you are slightly frightened of public speaking? Good, you're honest there, because the number one fear in the world is public speaking. Number one fear. It's greater than the fear of mice. It's greater than the fear of illness. It's greater than the fear of death, war. Public speaking is the number one fear. And as public speakers, you are going to be that. As SME leaders, you are a leader who will speak. So I want you to give yourself an imagination exercise to begin to prepare yourself for that future. I want you to imagine that you are in an audience, you're a member of an audience, there are 2,000 people in the audience, there are 5 speakers, and each one is going to speak for half an hour. One of the speakers is taken ill, and the MC comes in and says, look, terribly sorry, but in 10 minutes I'm stuck because we've got 2,000 people and no speaker. We know that you're a leader in business. We know that you're a speaker. Please give us your curriculum vitae, and I will introduce you to the 2,000, and you now have a stage for half an hour to talk about anything you want to talk about. So put yourself in that imagination situation, and it will happen. I want you to quickly do your curriculum vitae, to give to the MC, to introduce you as the leader you are of a growing company. Okay, team? Starting now. So you're going to hand this in to the MC. Give yourself just a very few minutes to introduce yourself. Because also in the time we are spending together, we are metacognating. In other words, thinking about thinking and thinking about you, thinking about yourself. So this is your curriculum vitae. Who is the member in this audience? So do it now. You're going to give this to the MC. Are you looking for yourself? Are you looking for yourself? Are you looking for yourself? So you're in there. That was your CV? A number of questions have been asked. Should I just think about it or do it? Now, if there is an MC who's trying to introduce you, then you're thinking about it. It's not really going to help that Master of Ceremonies to introduce you. Your curriculum vitae is going to help the MC. So obviously it's something you are going to give. You can do it in another language. You don't have to. You can give him the book. All right, team. In pairs, in teams of 2, quickly introduce yourself from your notes. Give yourself a minute to introduce yourself to the person next to you. And you can do this, as I mentioned before, in any language you like, but just quickly introduce yourself as a small company entrepreneur. What is the time? Let us now begin to metacognate. Metacognate means to think about thinking. And thinking is what your future is all about. So we're going to examine that. We've established that virtually all of you love colors. Let's just repeat that. How many of you love colors? Wonderful. So that's an absolute. When you did your curriculum vitae, all of you who did do it, because more than 30% of you didn't do it, or you were doing it on your mobile, but all of you used one color. One color. How many of you used blue, black, or gray? How many of you, when you were in school and university, were taking notes in one color? So let's now think about that, because I was in the same position, note-taking in one color.